Hello everybody, today I'll show you how to smoke goat leg. This is my husband's recipe, so let's get started. I'm using whole spices and dark beer to brine the meat. This goat leg weighs about 10 pounds. To brine the meat, I'm using 4 bottles of dark beer. Put the meat in the container that you're going to brine in and start pouring dark beer over it. I'm using 4 bottles of dark beer. I'm using a baking pan to brine this meat. Meat should be at least 3/4 submerged in the beer. What beer does to the meat is it tenderizes the meat. If you do not like the taste of the beer, you can also brine goat leg in either water or buttermilk. For whole spices, I'm using 2 sticks of cinnamon, 2 black cardamoms, 1 star anise, couple of cloves, about a half a tablespoon of whole black pepper, two teaspoons of cumin seeds, and 3 bay leaves. Sprinkle some salt over beer and over the meat. I'm using about 1 tablespoon of salt. Now wrap this with a plastic wrap and put it in the fridge overnight. This meat has been brining overnight for at least 20 hours. Take the meat out of the liquid and pat dry it with a paper towel. Do not rub the meat to dry it, just pat dry it. Paper towel should soak all the liquid. You also do not need to brush off the whole spices. If it's stuck in the meat, let it be. It will give only more flavor to the meat. So let's not worry about that. Discard the brining liquid because we will not be using it anymore. For the spice rub, I'm using 3 tablespoons of finely chopped ginger and garlic, four teaspoons of salt, 2 to 3 teaspoons of turmeric powder, 3 to 4 teaspoons of cumin powder, 2 to 3 teaspoons of chili pepper powder, and 2 teaspoons of garam masala, and generous amount of cooking oil. Combine all the spices to make the spice rub. Mixture should be very thick and pasty. Now here comes a very important part. Take a generous amount of spice rub and start rubbing the meat. There's enough spice rub to coat the whole meat, so turn it over and coat the other side too. Take a sharp paring knife and start poking the meat. Turn it to the other side and poke the meat on the other side as well. I'll show you in a while why I'm poking the holes in the meat. Fill the pockets with leftover spice mix. This will make the meat more flavorful. Turn it over and do the same thing on the other side as well. Fill the pockets with leftover spices. Give a final rub on the both sides. Let the meat rest until the smoker is ready. To start a charcoal fire, I'm using 3 pieces of tumbleweed in a piece of paper. Put it underneath the starter. And I'm also using a couple of sheets of paper and putting it underneath the starter. And light the fire. The starter is filled with wood charcoal. For this, I'm using wood real charcoal, not the briquettes. Now my charcoal is ready to go in the smoker. Cover the firebox. Once the temperature reaches 250 degrees Fahrenheit, put the meat in the smoker. Smoke and the heat absorbs the moisture out of the meat. So to retain the moisture in the meat, I'm using a pot of water next to the meat. Water will maintain the moisture in the meat. To give a smoking effect, I'm using applewood, 1 chunk of applewood. The smoke should look like this. It should be light blue smoke. In an hour mark, take about half a cup of olive oil and a silicone brush and start brushing the upper part of the meat with the oil. Use the generous amount of oil on the meat. Use a generous amount of oil to rub the meat. Check on the heat and add 1 piece of applewood. Now it's been 2 hours since I put the meat in the smoker. Now it's time to turn it over. Look at those grill marks. Maintain the temperature between 200 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep attending the heat every 30 to 40 minutes. Add a couple of pieces of charcoal and 1 piece of applewood every 30 to 40 minutes and cover the firebox. It's been an hour since I last checked. Since the goat leg is very young, tender and lean, To keep it from getting dry, I'm using half a cup of olive oil for this side as well. And cover it. Meat has been smoking for about 4 hours now. Now it's time to wrap the meat and put it back in the smoker. So for this, I'm using aluminum foil. You can also use parchment paper to wrap the meat. So wrap the meat like it's shown in the video. It should be tightly wrapped. Meat is very hot, so be careful when handling the meat. Put the meat back in the smoker. Smoke it for another 4 hours. This meat has been smoking for 8 hours at 200 to 250 degree Fahrenheit. Once the core temperature reaches 180 degree Fahrenheit, it's ready to come out of the smoker. Once the meat is out of the smoker, let the meat rest for at least 30 minutes. This will help the juices to retain in the meat and not run out. Remove the aluminum foil and start slicing the meat. When you slice the meat, you see the pink layer on the edge of the meat. That is the smoke layer. This meat has been smoking for 8 hours, and look at this beautiful ring on the meat. That's called the smoke ring. This delicious, juicy smoked goat leg is ready to be served. Please enjoy this recipe with your family and friends. Please subscribe to my channel and keep watching.